Welcome to PlayPianoTODAY.com. This is a quick video preview of Blues for Piano and Keyboard, Chapter 16. We're going to zero in on your left hand in this lesson, and there's so much material in here. The lesson is almost a full hour, and we're studying a technique called left-hand jazz comp chords and rootless voicings. Check it out. Oh, we're going to have fun today. Blues 16 builds on everything we've learned so far in the first 15 chapters. The blues course started very simply, but then as we got into some of the higher chapters, we started looking at some advanced concepts, and this chapter is no exception. Today we're going into new territory. We're going to use something called rootless left-hand voicings to blur the lines between jazz and blues. The roots of jazz are found in the blues. In fact, if you haven't gone all the way through our blues course and you want to dig into these advanced concepts, make sure you go to keyboardblues.com and you can find the entire course there. Let's jump ahead in this video preview now. These rootless left-hand voicings are so powerful because they can instantly jazz up your sound. Let me show you what I mean. Let's go to the point in the lesson where we're starting to take a look at them. Now, I get this request all the time from my students. What do I do with this old left hand? You know, the right hand, it's got all these nice licks to do, you know, and blues riffs. And if you're like 95% of the keyboard players out there, you think, what do I do with my left hand though? If you listen to a lot of blues and jazz recordings especially, you'll hear some left hand comp chords that sound like this, kind of funky and nice. Maybe your left hand started out playing like this, just like we did at the beginning of this blues course. But now we're going to start adding rootless jazz voicings in the left hand. Check it out. And all of a sudden, the music starts sounding maybe a little less like blues and more like jazz. And I'm not doing any left-hand bass stuff. But if the bass was playing, he might play something like this. Look at me crossing my hands. Another term used for these left-hand chords is comp chords. Comp is actually short for accompanying, meaning the left hand is playing these chords as an accompaniment to the right hand playing solos or the voice singing or another instrument playing. These left-hand chords can be full of all different kinds of things, like higher extensions, like 13ths, right? Or when I change it to a D chord, it's a 9th. I don't want to throw too much out right now because we're going to go over all these concepts in detail in this lesson. But sometimes you'll have what's called rootless left-hand voicings, like this one. This is a D minor 9, and there's not a D in sight. Look at that. But again, if you drop that bass down there, see this left hand rootless comp chord in the left hand is implying this D. Here's another rootless voicing. It's implying G. Now I want you to look at the song I've put together. And the truth is I always have so much fun putting together songs that demonstrate these concepts. But this one is going to demonstrate a lot of those different kind of techniques. I want you specifically to look at how many left-hand comp chords the left hand plays. And then we'll take the song apart and look at it in detail. Here's the demonstration song using those left-hand comp chords. Watch out for them. Now, because this is just a quick overview of the full lesson, let's jump past the song and get into the section of the lesson where we're starting to look at some of those left-hand voicings. We'll play through the blues real simply with just those 3 chords that we studied that make up the minor blues. But now we're going to play these 3 chords as something called 7th shell chords. Now a shell is a container with possibly something inside, but sometimes it's empty. We're going to make it empty. Look at that. That's called a 7th shell chord. It has the root and the 7th. That's all there is. So all of a sudden you have got something to do with your left hand. For G it would be like this. Right? It's missing these notes from G minor 7. It's just a shell chord. It's really nice. You can play it a little lower because there's not too many notes to get all muddied up. How about A? Okay, let's just go through the blues real quick and play just 7th shell chords. All right, so that's the blues. That's just 7 shell chords. Shell chords are so powerful. We're starting to really get into the meat of this lesson. Let's jump to the section now where we start talking about rootless left-hand jazz voicings. Let's look at a D minor rootless voicing. I use this a lot in the song. If you stack up D minor 7 and add the 9th on top, okay, and again, this is review. We've studied a lot of these things in the earlier blues chapters. If you just play the 3rd, the 7th, and the 9th, it's rootless, right? There is no root involved. No D can be found no matter where you look. So forgive me for playing Liberace here and crossing my hands. I just want to keep that left hand playing the rootless voicing and give you an idea what the bass player would play. Right? And the amazing thing is, even if there is no bass player, this voicing starts implying the tonality of D to your mind. Listen. Still sounds like D, doesn't it? Listen. What about G? G would be here. The 3rd, the minor 3rd, right? The 7th and the 9th. Okay? There's no root there. The G, or fancy G with my right hand crossed, the G isn't there. Okay, now again, since there's some notes missing, right? There's actually 2 notes missing, the root and the 5th. The more notes that are missing, this is kind of a gem. Really let this one sink in your mind. The more notes you take away, the farther you can play it down on the keyboard. If I played that full G minor 9 chord down here, it'd be really muddy. But now by playing a rootless voicing, I can play it down here and it's just mellow. That just chills me out. And back to D. So for all 3 chords now, I've got simple movement. Listen to this. Watch the left hand. Down to G. Back to G. Minor. D, right? Now here comes A. My left hand's not going to move much. Back to G. Now, if you're playing a jazz gig, these rootless voicings work really well. They instantly jazz it up. Can you hear how those rootless voicings completely change the character from blues to jazz? It's amazing. So there's so much more to dig into, but what I really want to drive home is these rootless voicings really start imparting a jazz feeling. Well, I hope you're starting to get excited about this lesson. There is so much material in here. Chapter 16 covers many, many different concepts. It's almost a full hour. We go through such things as minor blues versus major blues. We look at advanced altered jazz chords. We go through many left-hand rootless jazz voicings like you saw just a moment ago, but we go through all different kinds with higher extensions, stuff that really instantly jazzes up your music. We go through, like you saw, left-hand shell chords and inverted shell chords. We go through 3rd and 7th shell chords. We go through tritone shell chords, all kinds of stuff that really gives you a good tool to bring your left hand to life. We go through the alternate blues progression turnaround chords that I used in that song. There's all kinds of things you can do to move away from the stock 12-bar blues and make it your own. So we'll look at some alternate turnaround chords. In addition, we'll throw some left-hand rootless jazz voicings on top of them, and it just really makes the music explode. In addition, even though this is primarily a left-hand study lesson, we do look at some right-hand techniques. Specifically, we look at a very simple way to start improvising or making up your own right-hand blues riffs. You may wonder, what's the best way to begin improvising or making up my own right-hand blues riffs? I'm going to show you a simple way to do that, and you'll begin improvising right away. And finally, the last thing that we study, and this may be the most valuable thing of the whole lesson, we study the one sure way to get your left hand comfortable with playing rootless left-hand jazz voicings. And I don't mean just so you understand it, I mean getting comfortable with it so that you can instantly pull them out and add them to your music on the fly. To help you with that study, this lesson also includes a 15-page printable PDF file that shows every left-hand voicing used in this lesson in every key so that your hands can get very comfortable playing them. That's such a wonderful moment when a technique like that gets from your head to your hands. So, thanks for watching. This has just been a short preview. I hope you'll check out the whole thing at PlayPianoTODAY.com.